Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border. The border crisis is on their doorstep. And they were begging people to care about it for years. We need to take some less.
That's what that was.
And I will dare to say that is the Latino man who wouldn't want a woman president. I mean, you and I had this discussion before, and I have audios from Latino men who were calling my show telling me that they wouldn't vote for her just because she was a woman. And that is unfortunately, but that's part of the Latino culture, right? Where the Latino, the man is the one, the provider, and we're the boss. And we still unfortunately have a lot of Latinos with that mentality where the woman belongs in the kitchen. That is a reality of the Latino male chauvinist culture. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Martinez has no idea what he's talking about. Some inconvenient facts for him. For instance, the fact that in 2016, Hillary Clinton won Latino men by a 31-point margin.
Game over already, but wait till you see more.
And if you think it's mainly because of racism, that also doesn't quite jive with the fact that Latinos voted for Barack Obama over Mitt Romney, 71% to Romney's 27%. What are we doing, Democrats? Like, what do you? They're gone, Cenk. They're gone. Like unable, unwilling to ever do even a little bit of self-reflection.
Ana Kasparian has been gradually breaking away from the woke left, shifting closer to more moderate or even right-leaning views. Over time, her criticism of progressive ideologies has grown louder, and with Donald Trump's presidential victory, she seems to have reached her breaking point. In this video, Ana doesn't hold back as she takes aim at the woke left, including figures from CNN, MSNBC, and even Sunny Hostin alongside the hosts of The View. Let's jump into this clip where Ana Kasparian tears apart the woke rhetoric, exposing the absurd excuses made in the aftermath of Donald Trump's 2024 election win.
Several minority groups, including blacks and Latinos, did, as Donald Trump predicted, move over to his column.
It is significant, but not really surprising. Donald Trump, I believe, and in speaking to a number of Republicans and Democrats, has a unique appeal to Latino voters. Most Latino voters are working class folks. And despite his crude sense of humor, despite the jokes that he makes, despite the exaggerations about his wealth and his exploits, for folks that are from where I'm from and folks that I've grown up around, that resonates.
Well, Democratic operatives are desperately trying to figure out why Latino voters, in particular, swung dramatically toward Donald Trump, despite historically voting for Democrats. And they're doing this after the election took place, even though polls were indicating for over a year that this trend was happening, that the Democrats were bleeding support among Latino voters. So look, we'll get back to the very obvious underlying reasons in just a second. But first, I think it's worth looking at these record-breaking numbers, okay? What the results of the election was, what the results were, I should say, in regard to the Latino vote. So take a look at this graphic. So it shows that the majority, around 53% of Latino voters, still did vote for the Democratic candidate Kamala Harris in this election. But that is significantly lower than the 65% that voted for Joe Biden in 2020. So just bleeding support. Meanwhile, Trump did grow support from 32% to 45%, okay? Now, Latino men in particular made a huge swing between 2020 and 2024. So let's take a look at that. In 2020, for instance, Joe Biden won among Latino men by 23 percentage points, 59% to Trump's 36%. Fast forward to 2024, and Trump won the Latino men by about 10 points, 54% to Kamala Harris's 44%. He also won among Latino voters overall in the state of Texas. Trump captured 55% of Latino voters in the state, according to exit polls. He also won 14 out of the 18 counties within 20 miles of the border, a number that doubled his 2020 performance in the Latino majority region. So why the huge swing? What's going on? Well, some people like Sunny Hostin and radio host Victor Martinez think that it has to do with identity. Let's take a look.
Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep. And they were begging people to care about it for years.
Misogyny
We need to
and
take
sexism.
some less.
That's what that was.
And I will dare to say that is the Latino man who wouldn't want a woman president. I mean, you and I had this discussion before, and I have audios from Latino men who were calling my show telling me that they wouldn't vote for her just because she was a woman. And that is unfortunately, but that's part of the Latino culture, right? Where the Latino, the man is the one, the provider, and we're the boss. And we still unfortunately have a lot of Latinos with that mentality where the woman belongs in the kitchen. That is a reality of the Latino male chauvinist culture. And I think that's exactly what happened.
In truth, leadership roles throughout history have typically been male-dominated, not because of culture specific to any group, but as part of human history. Across civilizations, long before modern times, male leaders have been the norm. This pattern is likely influenced by societal structures, biology, and historical contexts where physical strength and aggression were often tied to leadership and survival. For example, in ancient empires like Rome, Persia, and even the British monarchy during its peak, leadership was almost exclusively male. Female leaders did exist. Think of Cleopatra or Queen Elizabeth I. But they were rare exceptions, not the rule. And let's be honest, the success or failure of a nation under female leadership has historically depended more on the individual leader's competence than their gender. Yet, most societies lean toward male rulers, likely because of traditional gender roles. Now, bringing it back to Kamala Harris, her loss had nothing to do with her being a woman. It's because she lacked the ability to inspire confidence in voters. Her record, policy failures, and inability to connect with the American people speak volumes. Gender wasn't the issue. Competence was. Claiming otherwise distracts from the real problem and doesn't help anyone.
Martinez has no idea what he's talking about. Some inconvenient facts for him. For instance, the fact that in 2016, Hillary Clinton won Latino men by a 31-point margin.
Game over already, but wait till you see more.
And if you think it's mainly because of racism, that also doesn't quite jive with the fact that Latinos voted for Barack Obama over Mitt Romney, 71% to Romney's 27%. What are we doing, Democrats? Like, what do you? They're gone, Cenk. They're gone. Like, unable, unwilling to ever do even a little bit of self-reflection.
Ana Kasparian looks like she's genuinely enjoying the collapse of the woke left. And honestly, who can blame her? While some of us are happy about it, she seems to be taking even more satisfaction in watching the fallout. Meanwhile, left-wing figures like Sunny Hostin and others on MSNBC or CNN are doubling down on the blame game instead of reflecting on what went wrong. Now, it's not just straight white men being labeled as racist and sexist, it's expanded to include Latino voters, white women, and anyone else who didn't align with their narrative. They've even started pointing fingers at women who didn't attend college, claiming they're the real problem. But here's the issue. Instead of asking why people are still voting for Trump, even after all the accusations against him, they refuse to admit their approach might be wrong. Instead, they widen the blame and push more people away. It's the same excuse we see in Hollywood when a bad movie flops. Instead of admitting it wasn't good, they blame the audience, calling them racist or sexist for not supporting it. The left is doing the same thing, avoiding accountability and doubling down on their losing strategy. And honestly, that's fine. It just means more wins for the other side. But really, it's hard not to notice how much Ana Kasparian seems to be enjoying this meltdown. It's like watching the woke left crumble is her new favorite thing. And honestly, I get it.
No, but I hear what they're saying. The Latino, Mexican culture in particular, so machismo. They never vote for a woman. That's why Mexico currently has a woman president.
Weird.
Oops.
Weird.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay, but go ahead. Blame your own voters, you morons. So now you're going to blame not the person who ran the campaign. By the way, why don't they do that? Because Sonny Hostin and almost everybody on TV is great personal friends with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and all those guys. So it can't possibly be beloved Kamala Harris's fault. That's why yesterday we showed you clips of these same people saying that Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign.
Flawless. Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah was on her side. And normally Queen Latifah doesn't endorse people. Nevertheless, they ran this perfect campaign. I mean, she happened to lose. But other than that, she got Queen Latifah. So now these morons are saying, oh, I got a great idea for the next election. Why don't we punch our own voters in the face and smear them so they'll hate us even more, okay? Because that'll probably help us in the next election.
If they think this approach will work, they're in for a huge surprise because soon they'll have no one left to support them. Their thinking is so limited, they judge people entirely by race, gender, or sexual preferences. If a single Latino voter disagrees with them, or if the group votes differently than they want, they immediately label them as racist or sexist. This only pushes those voters further away. Instead of admitting their mistakes and offering real solutions or better candidates, they double down. Instead of saying, we're sorry, we'll do better next time, they resort to insults, calling people names like racist and sexist. Do they seriously believe those voters will support them in the next election after being treated that way? Not a chance. Alienating people even more won't win anyone over. It's a losing strategy, plain and simple.
I think that might be a better strategy than Kamala Harris's brilliant strategy of running with a neocon like Liz Cheney. Let's see how it works out. It's just, look, I get it. I get that it's difficult to do self-reflection. I get that it's difficult to own up to mistakes, misjudgments. I totally get that. With that said, no one is entitled to a damn thing, okay? No Democratic candidate is entitled to a damn thing. Even if the other guy is Satan himself, okay? The Democrat has to earn votes. And the fact that they feel so entitled, they feel so entitled that after losing the election, they're just lashing out at the electorate. That's all they've been doing. That is literally all I've seen from the Democratic Party. It's crazy.
By the way, look, I've said it on this show. I'm about to go and say it on other shows. Here's who I blame for the loss, Kamala Harris. Isn't that weird that almost no one on TV is saying that? Like literally saying the words out loud, Kamala Harris is at fault. You know why? Everyone on TV is craving access to the powerful or is personal friends with her or are such elites, they think the idea of criticizing the actual candidate is unthinkable, unthinkable. She's so important. She's a celebrity, she's famous, she's powerful. You can't just, that sounds outrageous to blame Kamala Harris. That's offensive. But blaming all Latino men, not offensive. Interesting.
Now,
and remember, by the way, the Republicans are the racists.
I know, it's.
Democrats often call themselves the party of freedom. They argue Republicans are racist while claiming moral superiority, but their actions don't always match their message. Instead of focusing on issues, they push identity politics. They believe race or gender should decide votes. This mindset creates a strange double standard. It's freedom when convenient, but control when it's not. This strategy isn't winning them any support. Blaming voters for their losses only backfires. Calling people racist or sexist drives them further away. It's not how you win back trust. If they don't adjust, they'll continue to lose elections. And honestly, many will see it coming. But will they actually change their approach? That's the real question here. Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur have started speaking out. They've criticized Sunny Hostin and networks like CNN and MSNBC. These platforms focus on blaming voters instead of owning mistakes. It's frustrating to watch them refuse to reflect. So, what do you think? Can the Democrats turn things around, or are they stuck in a losing strategy? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. And if you're enjoying these discussions, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.